Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is a pretty exciting product that we're going to be showing you today. Live streaming data into Excel is just a lot of fun, and I've used this a lot with kids and teachers, actually, showing them how to bring data to life and use Excel in a really new and interesting way, and it's a lot of fun. We've created a number of different kinds of teaching experiences. We call them Databot games that allow kids to actually interact physically with data while you're watching it, and very simple to use, and I think you'll enjoy this. So a little bit about myself. I've been doing STEM education now for over 30 years. I started in 1988 teaching Lego robotics. For those of you who have been around a long time, you might remember Lego robotics. Back then it was called TC Logo, and that gives you an idea of just how long I've been doing this. Anyway, over the past 30 years, I've had the great good fortune of working with students and teachers and administrators all over the world, and seen a lot of fun types of activities that really engage students and impart a lot of real-world skills. This new project that I've become involved in, Databot, is a new product that came on the market last year, and we're all very excited about it because it actually is very approachable, easy to use, very affordable, and allows kids to actually do things with data that haven't been possible before. So today's webinar, what we're going to do is take a look at, first of all, the Microsoft Hacking STEM initiative. Microsoft Education has a group that is focused on creating these awesome educational resources and tools, which we'll look at a little bit more here in a few minutes. We're going to take a look at Excel and an add-in called Data Streamer. That's the function that allows you to actually stream live data into Excel. And then we're going to take a look at Databot itself. It's a wireless all-in-one sensor device that has 12 sensors actually with the external temperature probe that allow you to do all kinds of activities in all the basic sciences. And then we're going to take a look at an example of Excel and Databot working together. I'm actually going to show you how to turn on Data Streamer in Excel and show you how easy it is to use. I think you'll be pretty excited once you realize you have access to this tool. We're going to take a quick look at the NGSS practices and how data analysis applies to them, and also at the SD standards. And then at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session that will allow you to ask some specific questions if you're curious about how you might be able to integrate this in your classroom. So we have till 1 or 3:30 Eastern. So some of this I'm probably going to go a little fast, but we will be providing the PowerPoint after the webinar, and we can certainly follow up with additional answers to any questions you might have if I don't get them covered. So let's start with Hacking STEM. Hacking STEM is a group within Microsoft Education, as I mentioned, and their mission is awesome. You know, their mission statement is to modernize STEM education to enable every student on the planet to achieve more. And I think one of the things in terms of equity, they're trying to make things available worldwide to students and making all of their tools free to schools. So, for example, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Office 365, Windows 10, those are free tools for educators to use, and that makes it makes the affordability and I think the usability in schools just a lot more attractive. And these are tools that everybody uses almost every day in the work environment, so it's a great way to get kids real-world skills as well. So if we look at their mission statement a little bit deeper, modernize means to develop skills that model real-world jobs, engage students in solving real-world problems. For those of you who are STEM educators and have been doing this kind of education, you know how effective hands-on problem solving and these types of activities can be. So as students go through the Hacking STEM projects, and there's a lot of free resources, lesson plans, all kinds of teacher support, all kinds of online help, a lot of different things that are available to actually implement these things. The other part of it is every student removing economic barriers. So again, they're making all of these tools for free. So the Hacking STEM group, wonderful group, just Google them and you'll find their website. They're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, pretty much everywhere. So thank you to Microsoft. So a couple of other things about it. The library I wanted to mention. They target middle school lessons. So, and it includes all of the materials that you need. So you may need to purchase things like a robotic controller or some of the materials that are needed to build the activities, but the software and the lessons are all completely free. Here's a couple of examples of lesson plans. And you'll notice some of their partners. So for example, BBC Learning. And the kinds of activities that they do, they range from things that are completely free, no tools or controllers needed, to really interesting things like studying shark movement or the brain impact simulator. Again, very engaging, interesting, real world kinds of activities for kids. And it's a neat lesson plan format too, because they provide all of the lists and kinds of things that you would need to figure out how much this particular project is going to cost you. This one's a fun one, sensorized glove and robotic hand. That's online. You can take a look at that. Anemometer for like a weather station. Lots of different things that you can do. And again, all of these materials are provided free by Microsoft. So again, Hacking STEM, a great initiative. And the final thing, and this is what we're actually going to look at today, that came out of the Hacking STEM initiative is Data Streamer. And it's an add-in that is included in Excel, and it enables you to connect microcontrollers like Arduino. In this case, we're going to be showing you Databot, which is actually based on Arduino. And it shows you how very easy it is to stream data into Excel and turn Excel into a pretty interesting science tool. So a quick overview of Hacking STEM and some of the tools and resources they've made available. Now let's take a look at Databot, because today really is Databot meets Hacking STEM in Excel. And Databot is a microcontroller with built-in sensors. So again, it's got 11, it's actually got 11, it says 10 there, but it's got 11 internal sensors and 1 external temperature probe. It's also got an SD card built into it, so it's got 8 gigs of internal memory for capturing and storing data. It's also connected to devices either with the included cable or through the Bluetooth low energy wireless, which is really one of the cool things. If you connect this thing wirelessly, for example, to Excel or some of the other software that we've used, it really provides some interesting opportunities for kids. They can play catch with it, for example, and visualize the accelerometer, the gyro. They can actually do a lot of different kinds of untethered games. You can actually send it up on a kite, you can load it onto a drone, all kinds of interesting things that teachers and students have been doing with it. So some of the things that are included, I'll go through the sensors very quickly. An external temperature probe, there's a humidity sensor, there's ultraviolet, ambient light, carbon dioxide, volatile organic compounds, and those are part of the indoor air quality package. So you can do some pretty interesting things around environment and pollution studies. There's an altimeter, the accelerometer, gyro, magnetometer allow you to do the physics, motion studies. And there's also sound and air pressure. So it's a pretty neat little product. You can't tell the scale there, but that actually fits in the palm of your hand. It's 1.67 inches on a side, so it's very small, portable, and pretty friendly too. It's clear and has really bright lights and some really cool stuff about it that makes it fun for physical computing as well. Here are a couple of quick examples of using Databot. So there's software that is from Google Science Journal, that actually runs on Android. So you can run it on Chromebooks. And this is an example of us doing a rocket launch with a Databot strapped to an Estes Air rocket and viewing the data in real time. The second one there is taking environmental readings using just an Android tablet. And then the third example we've got here is using it with Excel Data Streamer. Or you can collect the data on the SD card and load it onto Excel after the fact using a CSV file. And we have people that are sending up Databot in weather balloons, on rockets, all kinds of crazy stuff, and then studying the data afterwards that it's gathered. So lots of ways to use it. So if we go through the anatomy of Databot here real quickly, I've explained a little bit about the number of sensors that are on there, the location of them, the main sensor board that you see there in the front. There are 4 boards inside it. Each one of them has a special function, but the main sensor board carries all of those different sensors that are listed there. So upper right-hand corner is a good example. You can see a little hole, an opening there. That's right over the air quality sensor. So air can pass through there and you can pick up the carbon dioxide levels, volatile organic compounds. There's a hole here for ultraviolet. Also, that's kind of a fun thing. Kids actually take that out in the sunlight and they can focus a little circle shadow onto the sensor. The microphone, the ambient light, all of those are on this main sensor board. And of course, all those can stream right into Excel. On the side view, again, these other sensors that I've already mentioned, they live on the second board. So you've got your inertial measurement unit, which is your physics package. And then you've also got the altimeter and air pressure on there. And then your third board is where the speaker, the SD card, and the humidity sensor live. So lots of stuff going on there. For those of you who may be teaching technology classes, this thing has a number of expansion capabilities as well. So for example, it's got I2C, if you know what that is. It's a communication protocol that allows you to connect it to other devices. It's also got just a standard input-output port for analog and digital signals. And then this third port that's here down on the bottom is dedicated to that external temperature probe. Since it was designed to be interoperable with all kinds of systems, you can add all kinds of other devices to it and integrate it with your existing robotic systems. We wanted it to be a very open-ended package that for those of you who are already doing robotics or technology programs, it's very easy to connect into the things you're already using. It does have a rechargeable battery, so that's built into the bottom. And 250 milliamp hour rechargeable LiPo takes about, I've experienced probably 30 to 40 minutes to charge. We tell people an hour to charge and it'll run an hour, but it actually is probably about 35 to 40 minutes to charge and it'll run for 90 minutes. But long enough for you to do lots of independent wireless activities. And if you keep it on the charger, it's ready for the next class. There's a lanyard attachment also, so you can hang it around your neck and go for a run. You can do all kinds of things with it, use it as a pendulum. It has physical hooks for connecting to Lego. That's what these little holes are. Also, there's some slides and grooves that allow it to work with Fisher Technic. It includes a Velcro plate attachment that allows you to Velcro it to a drone, all kinds of things. So again, designed to be integrated with all kinds of crazy things. When you buy a Databot kit, these are all the things that are included. So you get your Databot, a soft case. This is the SD card that actually comes pre-installed. This is what your lanyard looks like, the Velcro plate. You can see the external temperature probe there and the cable. So all that comes in a Databot kit. What we're going to do today is actually show you how Databot data communicates with Excel, and I'm going to use a very simple experiment. We're going to set Excel and the Databot up to display CO2 levels. The picture that you see there is what I call a dashboard. So that's actually a visualization out of Excel. That particular one, very easy to make, and I'll actually show you the Excel file here in just a few moments when we switch over. The challenge on this one was to challenge students to produce the highest level of CO2. And using all your scientific knowledge, how would you do that? So lots of different ways. We've got kids that figured out if I hold my breath or if I go for a run, you know, there's lots of different things that can impact the amount of CO2 that you're exhaling. This is a good example of one of the NGSS standards. So talking about energy flow, organizational levels, cells, tissues, organs. So you're going through cellular respiration. So this one is a direct hit on a very important standard, and it's a fun one because I've done this a number of times with both teachers and kids, and it's really effective. Here are a few pictures of people actually doing the Databot game, we call it. Huff and Puff is the one that we do with CO2. And this was at a science teachers conference. So we had one teacher that decided, hey, I'm going to put a bag over my head and hyperventilate, see what my CO2 levels go to. We have another one over there on the left that's doing exercise. And then we had one really bright guy who came back in after he had looked at the challenge and realized that, hey, I can use vinegar and baking soda and create a very high level of CO2, which he did, and beat everybody else. Pictures on the right, another fun game using the accelerometer. We call that one the Ninja Walk. Anyway, lots of different ways to use Databot and make data fun. Now we've already gone through about 17 minutes, so I'm going to jump onto the next part here because I want to have time to actually show you how Databot and Excel work together. And this is this next step, we're going to switch over and actually show you Excel. I'll show you how to turn on Data Streamer and how it works. Basically what it is, it allows you to connect a microcontroller like Arduino or a microbit, those kinds of things, to your computer and stream data from them right into Excel. You have to enable Data Streamer. It'll take the data from the board into your Excel sheet for visualization. And for those of you who may be doing robotics or programming, you can actually control things out of Excel as well. Today we're just going to be taking a look at sensor input going in. So let's give it a try. I'm going to switch now and start Excel, and I'm going to share a different screen here in just a moment. Bear with me while I get Excel running. Take just a minute. Requirements for Data Streamer are Windows 10 and Office 365. If you have an older version of Excel or you don't meet those standards, you can still use Databot, but you can't have the live streaming. So I've stopped sharing. What I'm going to do is reshare now with just Excel so you can actually see how to turn this on and use it. So now you should be seeing a Excel screen. And you'll notice that we can open a blank workbook here, which is what we're going to do. So if you have Microsoft Excel, which again, Office 365 and Windows 10, you should be able to do this quickly at home. Before I open this up, I'm going to show you actually how to activate Data Streamer. It's down here in your Options menu. So if we go to Options, you'll see a number of them, and there's a selection for what's called add-ins towards the bottom. And we go to add-ins. Take just a minute to update. And there are different types of add-ins. So the one that we want is a COM add-in. So there's a little drop down here at the bottom. And we select the COM or communications port add-ins. And then we say go. And it's going to show you the available add-ins, and you'll notice Data Streamer displayed there. And mine's already installed, so I'm just going to cancel out of this. But what you would do is select that, you check that box, say OK, and it should activate Data Streamer for you. And then it's going to show up on your ribbon for your Excel, which you'll see in your top menu here. So now let's go back to opening up a blank workbook. And now that we have Data Streamer activated within Excel, this is what it looks like. I'm going to select that drop down, and you'll see some different options. The one on the far left, this is actually where we connect to a device. So if you've got a controller attached to your computer, and in my case I do, I've got Databot connected there. We're going to click on Connect to Device. This is the driver for Databot. It's called Silicon Labs. It's the chip that actually allows you to communicate between Databot and the computer. So I've just selected that, and Data Streamer recognizes that a controller is attached, and by default it opens up a workbook format ready to talk to that data source. And this is the data in sheet. You'll notice there's multiple tabs down here. There's a data in, data out, and then some settings. The data in is what it defaults to, and you'll notice it's set with 10 channels. So we could have 10 channels of data streaming in. It'll actually, under settings, you can set your channel number up to like 100 if you had something that was really putting out a lot of sensor values. Databot puts out, trying to think what the total number is, but probably close to 20, because some of the, like the accelerometer has 3 values, the gyro has 3 values, and so on. Anyway, it builds this a worksheet for you by default. And now, since we're connected, if we start data, we should be getting the data that's coming from that controller. So you'll notice in channel 1, it's showing 400, which is the CO2 level, 400 parts per million. And if I breathe on the Databot here, we'll let it warm up for just a second now that it's reading data, but we should get a little bit higher level. And you'll notice it's elevating now, over 2,000 parts per million. And the historical data is building down there below. Now, that's how easy it is to connect a controller and Databot to Excel. Also very simple to create graphs and visualize data. Let's go ahead and grab a few cells there. We're going to insert a sample chart so you can actually see some visualization. There we are. And if I breathe on it again, we should see some changes in the data. It's going to react very quickly. You'll see that it's very simple to visualize data very quickly inside Excel. So we're going to do one more thing. I'm going to show you a finished, what I call dashboard, the one that I showed you the screenshot of. To do that, I need to shut this one down, and we're going to select a different Excel file. So I'm going to stop my data. I'm going to disconnect my device, and I'm going to exit out of here. And I have to start Excel again. Sorry about that. Hopefully everybody's still with me. Restarting Excel, and I'm going to reshare it here. Too many buttons. There we go. And hopefully I did that right, and Excel is again reshared. So now I'm going to open up a pre-built scoreboard, I call them, or a dashboard. And this is a good example of how you can use Excel and these tools to create specific lesson plan units and tools and resources. So we're building out different dashboards and content slides, for example, for different types of activities. This CO2 study is one. So you'll notice on my first tab, I've actually created a little content slide, which provides some background information on atmospheric CO2 levels. The observatory at Mauna Loa has been collecting those observations of CO2 since 1958. And you can see the steady increase in CO2 over the years. The 400 parts per million barrier was passed, I think, in 2016. So the level of CO2 in our atmosphere is definitely going up, and this is a great opportunity for kids to be able to actually take CO2 levels themselves using Databot and Excel. So if we go back over here to our data in sheet, again, I'm going to go to Data Streamer. I'm going to connect my device again. There he is. And now we're connected to Databot. And I'm going to start the data. And here comes our CO2 level again that we were just looking at. And now what I've done for a dashboard to make it more colorful, I've built this little slide over here. And what it's doing is it's calling the cells from this active data in and creating a visual display of those. So creating a visual scoreboard, very simple to do. Again, we're creating those and saving those for people who are using Databot, so they're pre-built for you, easy to use. As an educator, most people like to build their own kind of stuff too and customize their tools, so that's very easy to do as well. So for example, this scoreboard took me probably an hour to build, just adding in some color and some images and things like that to make the data look more interesting. And I just breathed on my Databot, and you can see the immediate spike in data. If you were doing some kind of a fun competition with the kids, you'd have this great visual display of, oh, Johnny just got over 2,000 parts per million. Anyway, very simple to use, and that's a great introduction to how simple Data Streamer is. So at this point, I'm going to disconnect. We're going to go back to our presentation. I think we've only got a few more minutes. One thing I didn't mention, but is in here, is this big record button. And if you're doing experiments, the record allows you, of course, to capture that data that's streaming in there. And when you record it, it saves it as a CSV file. that you can then open up later in lots of other applications, not just within Excel. And here we go, we're resharing our presentation, and we should be back. And great. So let's move on. I know we've used up most of our time here. 30 minutes isn't a lot of time, but I wanted to make sure everybody got a chance to actually see it in action. So I'm going to give you a few examples of Excel scoreboards that Microsoft has built. Very cool. You can actually take data points and replace them with images. So for example, the fish in the left-hand side are actually data that will move around based on whatever your experiment is. On the right-hand side, those are a little bit more traditional, but really visual, very pretty. The one on the top, for example, is a pendulum, and you can see the real-time line chart of, for example, the accelerometer as the pendulum moves. This is another really fancy one. Mine was pretty simple compared to these, you know, just pretty colors and a couple of images, but they do really neat things. So all of these examples are available online, and there's actually a PowerPoint on how to get started with Data Streamer that is included in the links within this presentation. So that'll be mailed out to you afterwards. And I'm going to speed up here, we're almost out of time. This is a quick overview of NGSS Practice number 4, so analyzing and interpreting data. The full appendix of the practices, the link is included in this PowerPoint as well. But very important, obviously, anytime you're using something like Excel and Databot and visualizing real-time data, you're hitting directly on this practice, which as a real-world skill, phenomenal. Kids, no matter what job they're going to end up in, need to be able to understand and interpret data. It's making the world go around these days. ISTE standards, obviously curating digital resources, using different digital tools, methods to create artifacts, all of those good things are core to the ISTE standards. You know, just a great, great solution for getting kids prepared for 21st century skills. So that's a quick wrap up, and now we're available for any Q&A that's left for those of you who have some questions.
Hi, Robert. We do have a couple questions that came up. The first one is, what kind of Databot packages are available for the classroom?
So these are the configurations for Databot, and again, this is all in the PowerPoint that we'll send out. But essentially, you can buy one and use it as a demonstration. You can buy them in 2 packs, or you can buy a class pack of 10, and the prices are listed there below. We have found that using them in pairs is a great way to implement it. So one student, for example, may be running the experiment, and the other student will be recording the data.
Okay, and then which sensors are included? Is there more information on the sensors?
Yeah, let me see here. I think I've actually got the sensor list included in this PowerPoint. So this is a technical document that you can actually go and look at the full specifications on the sensors. But as I mentioned, there's, excuse me, 11 different sensors included. They're built into the product itself. And then you've got one external temperature probe. Some people get a little confused. They see, well, there's all these sensors, but I don't see them with the kit. They're actually built into the cube. So everything is in one little package.
Okay. And that looks like, excuse me, the end of the questions. So I just wanted to take a moment and thank you, Robert, for sharing this with us. We can see that Databot has a lot to offer for educators across a wide variety of subjects and grades. So if you would like any more information, I will be sending out a recording of the webinar as well as the slides, so you can respond to that email that'll be coming, or you can reach us at info@studica.com or call 888-561-7521. And again, I will be sharing all that information in the follow-up email.
Great. Thanks for having me. That was fun.
Thank you so much, Robert.